about how this would have been the first crop of the season for a farmer. Most folks living at River Raisin Settlement, for that matter, all throughout the United States, would have been farmers, a very, very big percentage of them. And there's only one time a year that the temperature rises above freezing in the wintertime, just a little bit when it touches above freezing there, and then when it goes back to below freezing. Now, once the temperatures get really high and it stays above freezing for extended periods of time, what happens is the buds of the trees open up, and then the tree starts to photosynthesize. So a chemical change happens. That's lifeblood, the sap of which we borrowed just a little bit. And then the sap starts to taste kind of off. And pretty much water. It's 98%-ish water with minerals, compounds, but it's mostly water. Matter of fact, in some places in the world, they drink that straight. What we do is we put fresh sap in the far left, to my left, the biggest bucket over there, and then we gradually reduce it as the buckets get smaller all the way down the line here. And what we're trying to make here is a darn near 100% sugar solution. So the goal is to make it for the bubble. See, something like this. So this is hard sugar, as you can see, and we're not making maple syrup here. You see, in the early 1800s, there wasn't really a good way to package the maple syrup, for sale, like as a trade good. But this keeps really well. I can put this in my pocket, sticky over time, right? But it's going to stay together, okay? It's a good hard product that's going to keep well, and I can trade this. So I can have some for my family, can have enough sugar to get through the whole year making cookies or something have you. And we've also got some to trade. Hey, everybody has a pizza cutter. A couple hundred years ago, everybody had sugar nippers like these, just a dental tool, right? And you'd try off little bits from your hard blocks.
Did they always do it in a cone shape?
Not necessarily. The cone is nice because what happens is this is kind of I know that they do cane sugar like this, and that's how you make molasses. They'll pour the hot molten sugar in these conical molds, and molasses just washes off. Yeah, so it washes out all that caramel coloring and what have you, and that's our molasses. And that's the cone mold was made for. We just make these little hockey pucks, little tiny mini hockey pucks of it. And in Canada, and in other places, hey, speak up, there it is. So the idea is we're just going to pour it in there when it reaches about 256 degrees, actually pretty much exactly 200. And beat it out, and then we'll have a nice tiny little drink. Even to this day, I mean, heck, even think today. We got lab-grown food today. How's that for off-putting, right? Even today, the big maple companies, the same companies that make the maple syrup that you can buy at Meijer and Kroger and what have you, it's the exact same process. And what I think is really neat about it is you have to go into nature to harvest it. Now you might say, well, why don't you just start your own maple farm? People have Christmas tree farms. Why don't you just plant your own maple farm in the same way people plant an orchard? Well, a maple takes about 40 years to get to a tappable size. So unless you're doing it as a generational family thing, it's not really feasible. Look right behind you, folks. If you look at that tree right over there, you'll see a little tin bucket hanging on that tree. If that's how we tap our trees here, that's the way they would have done it.
We drilled a small hole, maybe 3/4 of an inch deep, and then drove. Well, look at this. There's some coming out right now, and then this spile.
But you wouldn't add that to something that's almost done?
Oh, we are.
Oh, okay.
Well, and the reason we do that, because I'm only you see it reducing as we go all the way down, right? And the reason I'm doing that is so I can, because look, if we cook this down, say we were making syrup, and syrup is 66.6% sugar. So if we cook down that whole thing, we'd wind up with how much maple syrup? That much. It's just hard to make. And so what we're doing is we're adding and adding and adding and adding. We have whole pockets. I think it was around the 1870s that patents really started to come out for the flat bottom pans or pans that are kind of flat that have fluted bottoms.